Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for stopping by. I definitely appreciate you giving me your attention. What a busy month so far, huh? What a busy week. Today we're going to get more in depth in terms of how events are staged. In this video, we're going to cover the actual meeting places where these things take place. But let me say this first. A lot of times when it comes to talking about this subject and other subjects that might be, and again, we're boycotting the term conspiracy theory because we don't do that. We do research. And a lot of people don't like that because they want to run away. This is important to understand that the reason why I make these videos is simply because it's all about improving the quality of life. We're all here for a certain purpose. We're all here for a certain destiny. And most people want to bury their head in the sand, but no matter what, you can't run away from what you're here to do. And I make these videos because I care about people's quality of life, and I don't like things that are artificial. Things that are artificial, especially things you see and other things even in your personal life, add more stress and strain to you being a productive individual. So that is the reason why I take time out to do these. It's something that I've watched for a long time. It's something that it's a nuisance, and I think if more people were aware of certain things, change overall can happen, and it'll actually make things easier for people on an individual level. So with that, I want to point out this particular, in this segment, I'm going to do a few of these. The first one is this one. So when things are orchestrated and planned on a global level, on a business level, individuals come together and they meet. Obviously, you have to have a meeting in order for things to be planned, in order for things to be outlined. Now, a lot of people this past week has been, subject to the events in Dallas, the events in Falcon Heights in Minnesota, and the events in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, with Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, and the alleged police shootings. So what was interesting about that is that everybody's attention, and like I always say, anytime you see a news story, your attention is directed here. But you have to look at the real story, which is here. You know what I mean? They give you in the right these news stories so your attention can be distracted. But you always have to ask yourself, what's going on that I do not see? And that's in this hand. So it's no different this month. Last week, this past weekend, there is an event that has been held since 1983. It's called the Sun Valley Conference. Now, the Sun Valley Conference was started by a private investment group called Allen and Company. Okay? So, since 1983, every July, the 4th of July, powerful individuals get together in Idaho. We was focused on Dallas, should have been focused in Idaho. And if you look it up, you'll very rarely see that much information when these conferences take place. Even after these conferences take place, if you try to find history of it in records, you never see in-depth detail on what goes on in these conferences. But anyway, every summer, first or second week in July, billionaires, politicians, actors, pretty much people with all the clout get together and they plan future business mergers. Things that we seem as happenstance or all of a sudden. This is one of the many meeting places, and I'll cover each one in different videos. But this Sun Valley Conference, which takes place in Idaho, is where these individuals get together and they plan mergers. Some of the mergers that came out from this conference have been AOL and Verizon, Comcast talking about taking over NBC, and everybody goes to these. The Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, head of CBS, actors, you name it, it's there. So this has been going on since, like I said, 1983. About 33 years. This meeting has been going on every month in July. Now, this is important because I think if more scrutiny is put to these meetings, then we'll actually get the jump on what's going on. There's a lot of these meetings. You have Bilderberg meetings, CFR meetings, and there's even meetings that we don't know about. But it's just ironic that while all these shootings happen and all of these so-called unarmed shootings have happened. This big meeting has taken place in Idaho, and no one knows about it. You don't see any whispers of it. The only thing you see is it addressed as a summer camp. And that's normally how the media addresses a lot of these meetings that take place throughout different parts of the year, is they address them as frivolous summer camps, getaways, vacations, but they are not that. These are war meetings. These are power meetings. Anytime you see these meetings take place, you best believe your whole way of life is going to be affected. And why do I say that is because media, for the most part, outside of like democratic forms like YouTube and things like that, and even that's owned by Alphabet, formerly known as Google, is only in the hands of a small majority. So when these meetings take place, these are consolidation meetings, which means that power is put in the hands of even fewer people, and that's what mergers are. Mergers take place and they take the hands out of less people and put it in a consolidated fashion in order to focus the control and gain more power and reach in a more focused lens. So the Sun Valley Conference is the business arm of that. You have the political meetings, you have different meetings for different purposes. But this Sun Valley Conference, which takes place every July in Idaho, what you're going to see every time this happens, from now on, every time July comes around, look at the following months. You're going to see announcements of mergers, acquisitions. You're going to see big companies merge and come together. You're going to see new creations. You're going to see a lot of businessmen take the forefront, and it's kind of like a shuffling. This CEO is now going to be CEO of this company. CEO of this company is now going to be moved to CEO of this company. And that is how the power game is played. It's a constant shuffling through these meetings. So when you see these events that take place, these staged events, these hoaxes, know that this is how it comes down. So when you look at these conferences, you actually get to see the face of the individuals that's involved. And that is the issue, is that when you see these events happen, 10 to 1, we always put it as if it's this invisible boogeyman, or it's people that's in power that we don't see or hear. But one thing that we need to start doing is actually putting faces to certain events. When you put the faces to certain events, you'll start to see that it's not far-fetched. So one way to do it is in the business end. So when you see these products being created and these mergers being formed, you could now start being more like an investigator and a sleuth, and kind of be on top of what happens. In this year's conference, Mark Zuckerberg attended, Larry Page, co-founder of Google, Sherry Redstone, who's the daughter of Sumner Redstone, who I'm going to do a video on, who basically controls CBS, controls Viacom, controls publishing. These individuals were attending this past weekend. This conference happened around July 9th. It's so shadowy that when you look it up, you don't even see exact dates. It's hard to get an itinerary, and you don't know anything about it. All you do is see is they cover it as a fashion event, a summer camp. So again, pay attention to the Sun Valley Conference. Happens every July. It's been going on for about 33 years. Started by Allen & Company, investment firm. And this is when your mergers and acquisitions and your big business announcements take place. If you notice, after this weekend, after the conference, the stock market had one of the biggest rallies it ever had ever, right? So what is that saying? The stock market is responding to some kind of news that is in the media. So while we're focused on being traumatic and traumatized and things like that, these future events have been being planned. So now you get to see how the stage is set. So check it out. Today is July 13th, 2016. Yesterday, the stock market had a big rally. The Dow was at 18,000, amongst the highest it's ever been. Monday, July 11th, 7/11, you had another, which I believe, staged shooting in Michigan at the courthouse. But nothing was covered about this Sun Valley Conference. Nothing was covered about the individuals that attended this Sun Valley Conference. And again, you had all the power players were there. And if you notice, you didn't see probably any interviews by any of these individuals during the last 7 days of chaos that we've been experiencing. You haven't seen no Mark Zuckerbergs, no Warren Buffetts, because all of these people were in Idaho planning their next move. So keep in mind that whenever you see these events, you have to pay attention to what's not being broadcast. And over the next few months, you're going to see a lot of announcements. You've seen Wall Street react to it. So that is what's been going on in the last few days while we were distracted. So check it out, the Sun Valley Conference. You could backtrack the last few years, and then you can actually track the mergers that has happened over the past few years, I guess since 1983. And you can see a lot of these mergers have come after July, the 4th of July. July is a powerful month. It's a month of Cancer, home, family. But the Sun Valley Conference is very big and when these companies get together. So with that, thank you for tuning in. Please start the conversation and stay tuned for the next few videos where I cover other places that staged events are planned. This way you can get more of an idea of when these things happen and we can get the jump on when they're going to occur. Peace.